पूर्वेते विपरीते विशुञ्चि अविद्याय स्वविद्येति ज्ञाता विद्याभीप्सिनं नचीते तसंवनि नत्वा कामा बहवो लोलुपन्तः।
श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपवस्रवत्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनश्वन्नोतिविसीदसादनम्। ॐ श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। गुरुब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुदेवो महेश्वरः गुरुसाक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करभावहै तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ओम्। Pranams, namaskars to the listeners of this series of episodes on Katopanishad. Today we are going to discuss on the first Adhyayam, second Valli, fourth Mantra. Let me first recite the mantra in Sanskrit, followed by that is the English transliteration, then a small gist about it, and thereafter a bit more detail, depending on the time's allowance. Let me recite the mantra first. Dhuramete vibadhite vishusihi avidyaya cha vidyeti jnata vidya vipsinam nachiketa sammanye natva kama bahavo lolupanta. In English, far apart, divergent and contradictory are the courses of delectable and electable. Untutored are the seekers, those go by durables or pleasurables. Insightful are the seekers, those go by paradigms and preferables. Commonly seen are many men fall a prey to the desirables. Thou yielded not and rejected the pleasurables. Determined art thou, the seeker of eternity, unexampled and inimitable. Now, just as the mantra, Yama says, there is a long gap between Shreyas and Preyas. Shreyas path is Vidya root, liberation, and Preyas path is Avidya root, Iha Paraloka Icha. Both are far apart in its characters, which are contradictory. They produce different results. I am assured now that you want to, that is, Nachiketas want to take only Shreyas route, because he, the Nachiketas, never swerved and he was not tempted by all the Boha Vastus that Yama offered. He was stern and steady. Now, let us see more detailed part of this mantra. This mantra is again a cantate of high praise and adoration of Nachiketas by Murti Bhagavan. Propensity and proneness to one who is engaged in mundane style of living is that he or she is more susceptible to be carried away by words and offerings of incitement and allurement. But Nachiketas never seemed to have been tempted by the words of Yama, and this is because of knowledge he was well engineered to know through his Vedic studies and observations in his past life, though it is short, his span of boyhood. Jnani Purushas treat Shreyas as Vidya and Preyas as Avidya, all because of their concerted understanding of the theme behind and their experiences. They observe that the fruits of attainment behind Shreyas and Preyas are too divergent in nature and also are not in total agreement with each other. They yield altogether different results and fruits of practice. Murti Bhagavan is of high appreciation and adoration within himself, and also expressly upon Nachiketas that he never swerved by and stood steadfast. What is meant here as Shreyas is Vidya, the knowledge, and the Prayas, Avidya, the ignorance. We have already highlighted that both Shreyas and Prayas are Dharma Marga but are aimed at different palam or fruits. Shreyas is the guiding light and Prayas is the darkness dispelling limited light. Shreyas is Atma Vidya and Prayas is Karma Marga. Both these marga engage the spiritual aspirants with different features inherent in it. Dhiras, the jnanis, are well aware of this by their clarity of judgmental attitude. Shreyas envisages Vidya being in Nivritti Marga, aiming at total liberation from samsara through Atma Jnana, and finally sustaining it would take one to moksha. On the other hand, Prayas is Avidya, Karma Marga or Pravritti Marga, and the Adhikari here is called Boharthi, the one who engages in worldly pleasures and pains. Prayas deals with Iha Paraloka Vishaya, the matters about the earthly plane and eternal plane. The result of following this marga is a never-ending samsara, but it would certainly help purifying the thoughts and lead one to Shreyas, if not in the present birth, but at least in the ensuing births. Observing all this, Yama now declares that Nachiketa is all deserving a disciple to receive his preachings on Atma Vidya. Vedanta keeps in force the eligibility conditions for an aspirer as Vivekam, Vairagyam, and let us probe in this aspect. The one ever sustains himself may be understood as Sthita Prajna, where one's prajna are the thoughts humbled and ever focused on divinity and eternity. For the rest of the mind and the thoughts are projecting as the Atma and yonder this. The mind attracts the objects through senses and perceives it in its own way with its antakarana, yukti, and leads one to think that the mind and the thoughts alone are Atman and Brahman. Mind cannot function without an identity attached in the form of Nama and Rupa. But contrastingly, the Atma Vidya aims at renouncing the Nama Rupa, the individuality, and expects one to focus towards collectivity. All this is being impelled is the illuminating Chaitanya, and this is never brought to the fore by common man. This leads one to be dominated by Mamakara and Ahankara. He or she develops an obsession and belongingness and attachments to the objects and become highly possessive of all these impermanent things. Therefore, the pursuant of Vedanta must at the outset try to understand and segregate the mind from Atma. Mind is only a complicated tool designed that needs to be carefully handled with buddhi to take one to the realization of Atman within. Enjoyment and being away from such an experience of bliss will never work out. Sacrificing all materials, oriented desires, likings and thoughts alone will help one to achieve the Atma Vidya. When one replaces the tendency of recall of vrittis from the mind during leisure by upasana and bhakti, nama japa perhaps would relieve him of being carried away by all ill thinkings that hinders one to the understanding that mind and the Atman are same. But to the one who has a subtle understanding that the Atma is different from Manas, Buddhi, Chit and Ahankara, you would find an easy method of Atma Sakshatkara. He gets relieved from likes, dislikes, pleasures and displeasures, Kama, Krodha, Moha, Mata and Ascharya. Gurukula Vasam keeps the disciple away from Tamasa Guna and the habitual malingering on the part of the student. He is being constantly watched and guided where he slips from the path. Therefore, Yama gets all ready to accept the demands of Nachiketas about Atma Vidya, and he decides to preach Nachiketas about this Atma Vidya because he finds him a fully composed, a person who is fit enough to understand the highly eternal and valuable preachings on Brahmatvam and Atmatvam. Thank you for now. We will meet in the next episode with a different other meaning and different other approach to a different other with a different other mantra. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahabhijyan Karavavahai Tejasvinavati ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.